If you think childhood is all about warmth, you clearly haven't met Ovi and her dad. She handed her dad the report card, and his smile was like, "My daughter is my pride." Looking up at the sky, Ovi was hopeful, but then bam. A surprise twist her dad faced an act. "Dad." In that instant, Ovi's thoughts were yanked back to reality, the pain of loss crashing in like a ton of bricks. Ovi was about to choke. If that rope hadn't snapped at the right moment, she might have reunified with her wife. Furious, she stormed into the ropes, but ropes aren't meant for that. Ovi sighed and headed to her wife's grave instead. With no one around, Ovi vented about her bizarre happenings while laying a newspaper next to the tombstone, enjoying their quality time. Even though she decided to hit the eject button on life, Ovi acted like a robot. She would be the first to stop any vandalism in the neighborhood. Everyone thought she was meddling and threw her annoyed looks. Even the stray cat at her door got scolded. The only one in the neighborhood who didn't hate Ovi was Runa's wife, often begging her for heating fixes. Even though Ovi pretended to refuse, she had to find an excuse to help fix it the next day. See, after all, she and Rooney were old pals. Back when the community was loosely managed, whenever someone rode a bike dangerously, they'd swoop in like superheroes. Under their teamwork, the community got organized, and with their straight-shooting personalities, Ovi and Rooney became fast friends. Despite their wildly different, Rooney was into Volvos, while Ovi swore by subsea talk about her rivalry. They believed their brand was the ultimate, never giving an inch, and boy, did this debate last a lifetime. Gathering courage to make amends, Ovi was floored when Rooney bought a foreign BMW. It felt like a betrayal to her beloved local brands. Disappointed, Ovi left, but when Rooney fell ill and paralyzed, they never had that heart-to-heart. During one of his wife's outings, Ovi whispered her goodbye plan to her old friend, but surprisingly, Rooney hoped her finger through the water pipe. Even while paralyzed in a wheelchair, Rooney's mind was still sharp, but sadly, his pleas didn't sway Ovi. Back home, dressed in a blue suit, Ovi headed for the garage. Having greeted her, but she waved him off like a pro and kept walking. She opened the garage door and commenced her fourth suicide attempt, connecting the device-laden pipe to the exhaust and popping the other end into the driver's seat. With the windows taped up, she revved the engine, and exhaust fumes swiftly filled the car, leading her thoughts back to the church. This time, it's her father's funeral, leaving Ovi alone. She went to his company to repay his unpaid wages. The manager refused the money and instead handed her her father's job. She guessed she needed a stable gig to keep afloat. But without Daddy's protection, the co-workers picked on her, eyeing her watch. See, the only keepsake left by her father. Faced with their taunts, Ovi recalled her father's words. See, fists were often needed to serve justice. Poor Ovi's luck was never on her side. Developers had their sights set on her house, declaring it far too old to fit modern standards and slated for demolition within a week. Ovi obviously wasn't about to run, so she worked overtime to paint the house's exterior. When the developers returned, they had no leg to stand on for demo. But one fateful night, when a neighbor's house caught fire, Ovi dashed in like a hero, successfully saving several precious items. To Ovi's surprise, those previously scorned co-workers were actually heroes, pulling out her grandparent and grandchild from the flames. Sparks took flight toward her house, and when she arrived, firefighters were prepped to douse the flames. See, but the developer ordered them to shut off. Since the house didn't meet building codes anyway, Ovi finally saw the developers for the snakes they were. After a night's fire, the house lay in ruins. Only her father's watch remained. Ovi became a homeless child. With nothing but her luggage, she crashed at her workplace, sleeping on a train. When she woke up, she spotted a lady in red high heels across from her. Ovi immediately sat up straight. The train was already in motion, and just as she had landed or set foot on the ground, the conductor began checking tickets. But Ovi was broke. Spotting the woman's embarrassment, she offered to pay for her ticket, and Ovi quickly promised she'd pay her back soon. When the train reached its stop, she hurriedly hopped off, only to realize she forgot her own luggage. While borrowing the backpack, she locked eyes with the lady. Those eyes made Ovi's heart skip. On her way back, Ovi found herself smiling foolishly. It was her first rush of butterflies in her stomach. Determined to meet the lady again, Ovi took the same train every day, only to find her vanish into thin air like magic. On the last day, Ovi considered giving up. There she would see a familiar silhouette. Hi. Her name was Sanya, a dedicated teacher. To make a good impression, Ovi fit about serving in the army. Seeing the awkwardness, she quickly returned the ticket money, and after a moment of thought, Sanya made her dinner proposal. What do you think about me treating you to lunch? Sure. I haven't found a reason to stay here, but I know a great seafood place. All right, sounds definitely interesting if you say so. Both Ovi and Sanya were extremely nervous. When the time came, Ovi arrived with flowers, only to feel like a fish out of water in the lively restaurant. Noting that Ovi only ordered soup without a main course, Sanya tried to break the ice. Ovi desperately searched for topics, but ended up prattling on about engines, while Sanya quietly listened until she finally asked, "Should I leave now?" Surprisingly enough, Sanya didn't show any sign of disdain. On the contrary, she was deeply touched by Ovi's sincerity. Be sure to subscribe to us for more amazing content.